It's Colonel Charles B. Dockery, Charles, B as in boy, Dockery, Dockery, Commanding Officer, Marine Corps Air Station Miramar.
So if you would, we were getting emails into the station and hearing word about the possible closure of the Flying Leatherneck Aviation Museum. Can you tell us an update or the news there?
Sure. A lot of people may not know, but the museum's been here since about 1999. It was moved down from El Toro as part of BRAC, and it's been here at Miramar ever since. And it's been a great showcase for marine aviation to the local area since then. But we are making the decision to close it. It will close as of March 28th. And really, this was a national defense decision when you boil everything down. I see my job and my role is to make sure that our resources that we're given are put towards my number one priority mission, which is to maintain Marine Corps Air Station Miramar as a power projection platform for our forces into the Indo-Pacific. And when I prioritize and when push comes to shove with resourcing, the museum has been a very important part of our history. It's been a very important part of Miramar and San Diego, but it's not our priority anymore. And we've tried since 1999 multiple ways to try and find different ways and different strategies to make it independent or a little bit different than it is now, but we've never been able to succeed. So I've got to make sure our resources are going into the right place to deliver national defense.
Okay, we're recording again. So yeah, I mean, a tough decision to decide where the funds go and can't go. Can you tell me a little bit of that process, where these, how much it costs to run the museum, and then, where those funds will be better served?
I will start. It's a tough decision, and it's one of those things that I know it's going to be part of my legacy as a commanding officer, and it's not something that I wanted coming into the job, but it's something that I'm comfortable with, and I'm going to own it as I go out here this summer. We help fund the museum, or it's a command museum. So really we fund it through the same funding mechanism that I receive money for to operate the entire air station. And that comes out to just over $400,000 a year. And so I have to make sure that, again, when I look around the air station and the things that we do and the things that we don't do or can't do, I need to make sure the money goes to the right place to make sure that my aircraft rescue firefighting Marines have their SCBA equipment so they can go into confined spaces. I have to make sure that I have spare parts for arresting gear and things like that. So there's kind of a cascading priority list over time. And we're really trying to make sure we move forward into the future with the introduction of the F-35 to make sure that we have all the pieces in place to really bring this air station into what I would call a fifth generation airfield to support a fifth generation fighter airplane.
Got it. And you mentioned, you've been working for a while to kind of solve this problem. One solution has been, I understand, that you are going to find a home for some of these antique and memorabilia aircraft. Can you tell me about that?
We are. The staff is working diligently to find a home for a lot of these artifacts. And what I talked to them about, there's really a little bit of an opportunity here. San Diego is a great place for military history. It's very dense and rich with it. And there's a lot of opportunities here in the local area where we can take some of these artifacts that tell the marine aviation story, and we can get those to places like the USS Midway, San Diego Air and Space Museum. And I know they're going to take great care of those artifacts, and they're going to tell the marine aviation story in the way that it needs to be told. But there's also an opportunity in here, I think, for some of these artifacts to go into places where maybe the military history or the marine aviation history isn't as dense as it is here in San Diego. So we're working with places like the Pima Air and Space Museum out in Tucson. We're working with the Marines Memorial Association up in San Francisco, where maybe they can take some of our pieces and they can start working that marine aviation thread into their displays. And now we're actually spreading the marine aviation story to places that maybe haven't heard it yet.
San Diego, of course, a big military town. And, as I said, we started getting word filtering into the station about the closure. And I know there's already some efforts to maybe try and save the museum. What do you want to tell those folks that are getting, want to fight to save the museum? What do you want to tell them about the plans to move forward now?
Ultimately, I think when it comes to the museum specifically, it's really about telling the story of Marine Corps aviation. And it's about telling it in a way, in a reverence that it deserves. And I have every confidence that we'll still be able to tell that story to San Diegans here in the area through the resources and the organizations that I mentioned previously. And again, I do want San Diegans to know that my number one responsibility is to deliver national defense. this is a national defense decision. When it boils down to it, I take it very seriously. And I would hope that they would agree with me that that is ultimately what they want for their taxpayer dollar.
And I think too, maybe a lot of people might not understand the cost of running a museum like that. You mentioned a figure. How much does it cost to run the museum annually?
Just over $400,000 from the resources that I'm given to run the entirety of the air station. But we've always had a great partnership with the Flying Leatherneck Historic Foundation. They do take on some of those costs through gifts and things like that. But that does come with rules and restrictions as far as operating a museum on federal property. And those have been the things that we've tried to work through since about 1999. And we've just never been able to line everything up to make it work.
Great. And any way that we can help in any way to help find a home for some of these materials, or is everything pretty much aligned to go somewhere?
It's going to be a long process. So not everything's aligned quite yet. So if you've got a favorite museum out there and you want to make a phone call to that museum and highlight the fact that maybe there's some things here that they could take on, we'd appreciate it. And again, I would open it up to San Diego. They've got until March 28th to make one last pass through our museum here, to make a last pass through the gift shop. They've still got some things you can buy in the gift shop, and we could clean that place out. That'd be great.
Wonderful. Colonel, I think you covered it all. Appreciate it.
All right. Hey, thank you very much.